Welcome, one and all. Thank you very much for joining me yet again, a second time today. This is, in fact, a double feature. Not only a double feature of broadcast, but a double feature in guests. My name is Red Barron. Thank you very much for joining the show. I am from FibiCharts.com and the unfairadvantage.chat. We'll be talking about that here in a little bit throughout the show, but wait for everybody to get into the chat here. Just hang on just a second, and let's wait for a few people to show up before I get started. And let's talk a little bit about who I am and what I do for you guys that are new subscribers. We're growing by leaps and bounds. So thank you guys for joining us and being a part of what it is we do. We have a lot of new stuff that we're being added. We got all kinds of new guests, all kinds of new features, and of course me telling my stories and doing the charts and doing all my goofy stuff that I do on the regular and all that crypto therapy that everybody craves on a daily basis. So while I'm waiting to kill a little bit of time, waiting for everybody to come in here a little bit, hang on just a second. Let me show you guys our website, and if you'd like to join us over at our free Discord, you're more than welcome to do so. I'd love to have you be a part of what it is we do. You can do that at the unfairadvantage.chat. And that is our free Discord. Just simply go to www.theunfairadvantage.chat and join us. There's an invite by Red Barron. That's yours truly. Click on that, and we'll just get you on through and get you on in here, and you can see what it is we do. Join a group of people that are very dedicated to crypto. They like what they do, and you won't find a lot of spammers. You won't find anyone trying to market you, scam you, stuff like that. We vigilantly patrol our group to make sure it's a group of core people that really like crypto and have your best interest at heart. So anyway, we're on the phone with me tonight, early night. We've got a Monday morning, Friday crypto cast for you, 2 for 1, like I said before. And I got on the phone with me here, two special guests. We have Patty XRP and Mickey B. Fresh from the DeFi Standard. How you doing, boys?
Doing
Good. All right, so we're using the old ghetto hookup here that I've got with my phone microphone because obviously technical stuff is we're running a budget show here, so you know. nothing but the best for my guests. So give me a little level check here one more time, guys.
Hey, how's it going? It's Patty XRP.
All right.
And it's Mickey B. Fresh.
Okay, let me turn up my volume just a little bit, make sure everybody's got you here. All right. So what are we going to talk about tonight, gentlemen?
A lot about the XRP Ledger.
Okay.
So I think what we'll start off with is a little bit of history about the XRP Ledger, the company Ripple, how those things are different, but also kind of, together. And then we'll get into some core components and then a lot of the development that's going on currently.
All right. Well, I'll just kick back and let you guys have the floor, so have at it.
Awesome. Thank you. You want to start us off?
Sure. So initially, the XRP Ledger was under OpenCoin in 2012. So that's almost 9 years in existence. And in 2013, really, the XRP Ledger was born. And it started out as the Ripple Payment Network and Ripple Consensus Protocol. So a lot of people get Ripple confused with XRP Ledger. Now, OpenCoin, the company, turned into Ripple Labs. But the network was always called the Ripple Payment Network. So that's why a lot of people call the XRP Ledger Ripple still, even though now the terminology is the XRP Ledger and the token is XRP. So over time, started in 2013, and they were the first to come out with a non-proof-of-work blockchain. So it uses federated Byzantine consensus. So the token XRP is not used to secure the network. So you don't stake it to secure the consensus, and there's no mining like Bitcoin and current Ethereum. Now, there's 100 billion tokens created, so I guess, call them pre-mined, created at once. Ripple, the company, does hold roughly 50% of them. Those are locked in a cryptographic escrow, and 1 billion get released every month, and whatever is not used is put back into escrow. Now, typically, Ripple will take like 50 or 100 million recently and use those, and they put the other 900 million back. And they release a quarterly report that lays out how much has been released, what they've done with it, and typically lately they've been using it for ODL, is their enterprise product. So Ripple builds enterprise products on top of the XRP Ledger, and then the XRP Ledger itself is a decentralized public blockchain. So they don't control, there's about 40 validators or so, and they only have 5 of those 40. So they have no influence over the actual network's governance or to censor any type of transactions. Anything you want to add to that, Patty?
No, I think that's a good start. I'll just add that some of the people that were behind the initial creation of the XRP Ledger is Jed McCaleb, Arthur Brito, David Schwartz, and then Chris Larson was added to the team where he participated by creating the company Ripple and was the first CEO there and is now the chairman of the board for Ripple. I'll add that about 20 billion XRP was distributed among the founding members, with 80 billion being gifted to Ripple Labs, the company. And they didn't have that escrow at first. I think it was initialized in 2017. So those are just a few things to add with that. And there's been much talk about Jed McCaleb as he went on to create Stellar. So with that, he's been basically selling XRP pretty consistently. He has a kind of lockup schedule where he can only sell X percentage of daily volume and things like that as part of his agreement when he left Ripple. And he's getting pretty close to running out of his. I think people are projecting by the end of 2022 at the latest, he will be fully out of it. But the rest of kind of those core members are still around and working in the blockchain space, in relation to XRP and the company Ripple. It's David Schwartz is now the chief technology officer at Ripple. Arthur Brito spun off and created a company called PolySign and its subsidiary Standard Custody. He's a really interesting figure because he's much like Satoshi Nakamoto. There's nothing about him on the internet. I'd say there's more about Arthur Brito, but there's no pictures, and nobody really knows what he looks like or anything like that.
It's really amazing that somebody in these 9 years since 2012 and designing one of the top blockchains has been able to stay anonymous for so long. So I think that's kind of one of the mysteries there. Some people have said he could be Satoshi. We don't really know, but it is a fascinating, I think, thing that somebody could stay anonymous in this day and age for that long with the internet and everything. I mean, nobody's seen his picture. It's just fascinating. Now, just to touch on what you said there with Jed, Jed had 7 billion, I believe, XRP, and now he's currently under 1 billion. So like you said, he should run out by the end of this year, and that was part of a settlement deal between Ripple and Jed when he left. So he's basically at the end. Now, he's only allowed to sell, I think, 0.01% of volume, so it doesn't really affect the price too much on a daily basis, but at the same time, it is increasing the circulating supply over time. So that does have an impact. So when that ends, it will, cut that supply from basically being ballooned by an artificial force just selling on the market. Now, when Ripple sells, they're selling to ODL customers. Now, ODL stands for On-Demand Liquidity, and that's their Ripple Net solution. So when you hear Ripple Net, that's their enterprise payment network that's built above kind of the XRP ledger. And that's used to facilitate cross-border payments. So if you're going from one currency, say we're going from US dollars to Japanese yen, it goes from USD to XRP to Japanese yen. So ODL doesn't directly impact the price of XRP to go up in its actual use, but over time, as more ODL transactions are facilitated, it means that there's going to be more and more liquidity needed to facilitate those. So that means there's more storage demand that some liquidity provider is going to have to provide. So that will, over time, increase the price. It just doesn't directly. It's more of an indirect thing over time. So that's just something to keep in note there. There's also no staking with the XRP ledger. It is just Federated Byzantine Agreement. So the token, like I was saying, doesn't have the ability to secure the network. So Ripple having that much of the actual XRP coin doesn't influence it. So if that was proof of stake, it would have a massive influence, because then you would have all that governance influence, and you would have actually control of the network. But since it's Federated Byzantine Agreement, it doesn't have those capabilities. So that's why the XRP ledger is decentralized, even though Ripple has a lot of the tokens themselves.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that, Mickey. So, we're talking about Federated Byzantine Agreement, and basically there's just a validator set like Mickey was talking about, and they have something called a UNL, which is a unique node listing, and those are kind of the premier validators, and then you're going to have subsets of other people running the software that are nodes, and all of those individuals are freely able to choose who they want to trust and not trust, and basically by that nature you start having these quorums set out under all these different like head validators, and they're able to come to consensus, which requires an 80% agreement. So there's no like 51% attack on the XRP ledger. Also, the only way that you could basically stall any progress on the XRP ledger would be to have over 20% of the validators, as you could kind of prevent them from getting enough consensus to make upgrades. However, like Mickey was saying, the largest controlling interest had been Ripple, and they're down to like 5 or 7% or something like that of the total validators in the UNL. There's also an XRP Ledger Foundation that was created that's hosting their own UNL. So Ripple always had one that they kind of, recommended or suggested just for people to use. There's other entities creating their own UNLs that validators and nodes can opt into. So all that kind of leads to ensuring the decentralization of the network. And like Mickey was saying, the XRP token there's nothing about it that can affect the consensus and the correct ordering and verification of transactions that go through.
Now, also to add on some other key features of the XRP Ledger that are not too known. So XRP Ledger was the first blockchain to have a built-in decentralized exchange. So the XRP Ledger is a payment network and a currency exchange together. So into the layer 1 protocol is built this decentralized exchange. Now, different gateways on the ledger could issue different currencies. So the only decentralized asset on the actual XRP Ledger at the present time is XRP. So if a gateway like Bitstamp issues a Bitcoin IOU, which are on the XRP Ledger right now, or a USD IOU, those trade against the XRP on the XRP Ledger DEX, and this is all transparent and public right on the ledger. So you could actually trade from, for example, there's a wallet called the Zum wallet, and you could actually trade right from there on the XRP Ledger. You have to set up trust lines to, say, Bitstamp, and with their USD issued currency. So you can think of that as their stable coin issued on the XRP Ledger. Now it is centralized because it's issued by them. Now they have the ability to freeze trust lines, but they don't have the ability to freeze anything to do with XRP. So you set up a trust line that locks up 5 XRP to do that, and then you're able to trade XRP to USD right on the XRP Ledger. Now there's an order book there that's built into it. So there's also auto bridging. So you could execute a payment that goes through the order book and would facilitate from, say, USD to Japanese yen, and it could use XRP. And that's all built into the system. So even all Ripple's enterprise software that they build on top is still based off the components of the actual XRP Ledger, and it's based off of the Ripple transaction protocol. So this is why we get so much confusion between XRP and Ripple. It's not that everyone's confusing it with Ripple the company. It's that these things were called Ripple transaction protocol, Ripple Pay, Ripple consensus, Ripple payment network. So this is word Ripple that's thrown around so much. But the token has always been called XRP. So that's the only native decentralized asset on the network currently. But in the future, we're going to be able to have trustless gateways where we can have actually decentralized assets issued on the XRP Ledger. Well, there actually are other tokens that are issued on the XRP Ledger, like Sologenic, we have is issued on there. We also have
Casino Coin.
Casino Coin is issued on the XRP Ledger. Now, those are actually issued with a limited supply, but there is a centralized issuer to them. Now, with the Flare network coming, without going too deep into that, that's another smart contract blockchain that is a utility fork of the XRP Ledger, but it's not an actual fork. It's going to be based on the Ethereum virtual machine. And with that, they're building a two-way bridge between the XRP Ledger and Flare network. And they're going to be able to issue from a smart contract on the Flare network a decentralized stablecoin onto the XRP Ledger, actually backed and collateralized by XRP. And then that sparked the native token of Flare. So we will start to see other decentralized assets issued on the XRP Ledger, but at the moment, there's only XRP, the native token. All the other issued assets are centralized from the actual gateway that issues them. And then you establish a trust line. Go ahead, Patty.
Yeah, and I was going to add, so like there's a company right now called Spend the Bits that's a little popular with the SEC case against Ripple, just because it's kind of a way to show how XRP is not a security and the XRP ledger is separate from what Ripple's doing. But basically what they do is they issue Bitcoin IOUs onto the XRP ledger to enable people to have like basically Bitcoin transactions that send from wallet to wallet within a couple of seconds, and they can redeem the Bitcoin on the other side. I saw this firm is actually going to implement what is going to be FBTC onto the XRP ledger in the future. Once the Flare network governance decides to add Bitcoin as an F asset, from those that remember what F assets are for Flare from the last call we had, RB. Mm-hmm. But this is going to basically enable people, like, think of like Lightning Network, how they're trying to handle all that stuff, but there's a lot of centralization, and you have to put like pre-fund and stuff with Lightning Network. On the XRP ledger, you could potentially just issue a trustless version of Bitcoin onto it and trade it freely with the Flare network as like the counterparty, which is a decentralized blockchain. So it's not like, you know, some independent firm that can just be like, hey, we don't want you to have this asset anymore. We're going to freeze your assets.
And ultimately probably cheaper, I would assume.
Yes, much. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it'll compare to Lightning Network in regards to that until we see it, but it will be, you know, it's the same. Anything that's issued on the XRP ledger has the same qualities as XRP, other than it's not the native asset of the network and has some other built-in things with it, as far as fees and what Mickey was saying with auto bridging and some other things. You would be able to transfer like this trustless form of Bitcoin within a couple of seconds for less than a penny on the dollar, which is pretty powerful if you compare it to, you know, how it's done today on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, the XRP ledger has 3 to 5 second settlement, so it is very fast when it settles transactions, and it's also very inexpensive. So like Patty was saying there, under a penny per transaction, and that applies to even issued assets like there will be potentially in the future with FBTC. Now, the reason Flare is able to do that in a decentralized way, I think you talked about this in your last video a little, is that state connector system. So basically the Flare network is running a quorum of UNL validators on the XRP ledger, and they're able to signal back that data to the Flare network, and that's what allows it to be trustless. So it's not just like one entity there or centralized. They're actually validators on both networks that's able to signal back, and then the whole network of Flare verifies that. And there's a little incentive there to earn for those validators sending the transactions back. So that's what allows that trustless gateway, and that's something I think will be powerful in the future for the XRP ledger, because right now, issuing, you have to trust that gateway. Now, people do trust Bitstamp. They are in a big exchange, so if you have an account there, you're actually able to cash out fiat from the XRP ledger right onto your Bitstamp account. So that is something that's nice here. So, for example, in the U.S., many exchanges, like in New York, you can't access XRP right now due to the SEC enforcement action. You could actually go through Bitstamp, issue a USD IOU, and convert that back out if you want to and trade it against XRP. So you could do that then through your Zum wallet, which is a decentralized, non-custodial wallet, and then trade the USD from Bitstamp with XRP. So you're able to work around here and use the tools that have been implemented in the XRP ledger, and then also an exchange like Bitstamp. But they're not trading XRP on their exchange at the moment, but they are allowing you to go through their gateway onto the XRP ledger.
And Mickey, I think another interesting thing I kind of wanted to bring up was the fact that Ripple was like looking to make all these consumer-facing products back in the day with like the Ripple wallet and utilizing the DEX, but this isn't the first time they've run into legal issues. They actually, I believe they settled with DOJ and FinCEN back then in like 2015, correct?
Yeah, it was 2015 they got fined for doing a sale of XRP to Roger Ver, who is the creator of Bitcoin Cash. And through that, he was living abroad, I think, and they didn't put through the right paperwork. And FinCEN opened an investigation based on that. But Ripple at the time was doing Ripple Trade, Ripple Wallet, and they were trying to get everyone KYC to trade on the ledger. They had a console out. So this is all before Uniswap and Ethereum even existed. They were trying to do all this in a regulated way. FinCEN came in and basically shut the whole thing down. And at that time, this is 6 years ago, they didn't really understand blockchain. So they expected Ripple to survey the whole network, and basically they had to shut down the gateways, they had to shut down Ripple Trade and Ripple Wallet. So Ripple pivoted to the enterprise side. So that's where Ripple kind of got, the XRP Ledger got hung back, and then you had Ethereum come out, and you have all these ICOs booming on there, all this activity, and kind of FinCEN and the DOJ kind of put the kibosh on the XRP Ledger and the community at the time from really developing because of that. And Ripple settled really quick with them, and I think that's the reason why we're not seeing them settle so quickly with the SEC, because they already went through this, and FinCEN said XRP is a virtual currency. So, and then you have the SEC coming 6 years later saying, oh no, it's a security. So they've been through the ringer with this already, and that FinCEN fine actually hurt the decentralization of the network and the community development because it kind of stalled it out. So that should have an impact. It's not talked too much about the case right now, but that did have an impact in everything that happened because they were really ready to boost the whole trading on the ledger. They wanted to have 100 gateways. And Stellar is kind of a fork of the XRP Ledger, and they're kind of going in that direction with the anchors. But we'll talk about in a little while where the XRP Ledger is evolving in a different direction than that now. In the future, I guess we get into this now, Patty. Let's talk about some of the things that they're building is called federated sidechains. Now, this is kind of relevant, similar to layer 2 solutions on Bitcoin, like Lightning Network. So there's a proposal for a new amendment called federated sidechains. And this would allow the XRP Ledger to have basically layer 2, think of like Polygon, how it's a layer 2 network that will be attached to the XRP Ledger through these federators that would be kind of a multi-sig quorum of validators, which would connect the sidechain to the XRP Ledger. Now that is semi-decentralized, but it's not fully decentralized because you have to trust that multi-sig quorum of validators. So you could actually have your own consensus on these sidechains. You could have your own native token. You could also use XRP, but they can't be completely excluded from the XRP Ledger.
Yeah, and with that, Mickey, so like these sidechains, there's supposed to be ways for people to create either permissioned or permissionless blockchains. So like one of the things Ripple's big on is trying to work with central banks and governments to establish like CBDCs. So like that's one thing that they would try and get these central banks to use as a product is like building their CBDC framework and infrastructure via these sidechains, because it's basically just it's a clone version of the XRP Ledger, and then you can kind of decide what you want to see on it. So like you could have no fees for transactions, or you could have no reserve requirement. It could be centralized or decentralized. You can basically do whatever you want, and the idea would be to have like a plug-and-play type interface where there's just modules and you're saying, okay, I'd like these functionalities with my sidechain. So it kind of just opens the ground for a lot of new things that come to the XRP Ledger without clogging up the mainnet, which is like, the main XRP Ledger that we know today will stay lean and fast and efficient for payments and trading and like credit and things like that. But these sidechains will enable creation of more bridges to other blockchains, smart contracts for DeFi. You could have an Ethereum virtual machine sidechain. So like this is a little similar to like parachains on Polkadot. However, those parachains use a shared security model with the Polkadot mainnet as opposed to the XRP Ledger with its sidechains. Each of those would have their own little consensus going on, and you'd be able to trade these assets between different sidechains. But like you could have, let's say a government builds on a sidechain and they don't want, maybe there's another government, they don't want those assets trading around with them. They could do blacklisting, like that asset can't be brought on their sidechain. But you could make it as decentralized as you want or as centralized as you want. So it just brings a lot of flexibility and functionality to the XRP Ledger to continue, help it evolve.
Yes, and now you could also use XRP on those sidechains as well, and those sidechains could also connect back to the XRP Ledger if you wanted to go through the Decentralized Exchange or any type of payment. There is that link there. So David Schwartz describes it as you put up these walls for the private networks, for the central banks and the governments, and then you make it very easy to take the walls down when they see that the best functionality is going to be going through the mainnet and through the XRP Ledger for utility and basically liquidity to go through different currencies. So that's the concept that they're trying to do there. But also we could see sidechains that are specifically designed for DeFi, like with different liquidity pools and other types of functionality, because the smart contracts that are built on each sidechain can be custom. So you can have your own capital markets programming language like DAML from Digital Asset Holdings, or you could have Corda as a sidechain, or Hyperledger, or you could have a very decentralized DeFi ecosystem. So it's really, and you could have tokenization, and then you could have NFTs on one. So you could really, it's very versatile in what could be done with these sidechains. And it does open up a lot of capabilities. And it also talks that they'll be able to communicate between each sidechain too. So that's an amendment that's being put forth in the future here now. It's only a couple of months away. It'll probably be voted on this fall, and that gets voted on by the UNL validators. So that's looking to pass. Now, there's 3 amendments that are really big that are going to change the XRP Ledger, and that's one of them. The second one is called hooks, which is adding light smart contracts through WebAssembly to the actual XRP Ledger. And now if this goes through, this would replace the federated system. So it would allow for those sidechains to be fully decentralized and for it to be trustless going back and forth, because you would have the smart contracts on the actual XRP Ledger connecting to the sidechains. So you want to talk a little about hooks, Fatty?
Yeah, I mean, I think just a couple interesting things to note in regards to both of those amendments, that we're talking about, is that we're already seeing 2 projects that are, coming out and saying they're going to build on the XRP Ledger that are dependent on these amendments going through, and all signs point to them going through. I mean, I would even add that this sidechains thing is probably the biggest thing that has ever happened to the XRP Ledger, in my opinion. We'll see, but I just think the potential is massive. But like with these hooks, there's a project called Evernode that would like to build a computational service in layer 2 of the XRP Ledger, and they need these hooks so that they can interact trustlessly with layer 1 of the XRP Ledger and basically, send changes in state and things like that between the 2 different layers. So that's one project looking to utilize the hooks. And then there's another one that's a real world NFT art project called, I think it's pronounced Aesthetes. It's like a Greek name. And they're building a platform that allows you to purchase, NFTs or fractionalized portions of NFTs of real world art. And they'll have like a curator that takes care of them and all that, but they're also going to introduce staking and lending, which you can't do right now on the XRP Ledger, but when these sidechains come out, you would be able to do. And this would allow you, like, let's say I own like a portion of $100,000 art piece and I have 20K worth of that, like fractionalized NFT. I could actually post that as collateral to take out loans on their platform as well. So it's like, it's tokenizing these real world assets. Yes, you need like a centralized intermediary to take care of them, but people rely on curators to take care of their art today, so it's all about just vetting who's doing it. But I think it's powerful that a really fast and easy way for you to leverage those assets, like as more tokenization takes place. So like sidechains and hooks are things that are going to help us get to that point. And then the other amendment has to do with NFTs themselves, and Mickey, I'll let you run with that.
Sure. So there's a proposal. They're going to add 3 new objects to the XRP Ledger to allow it to have full NFT capability. So they're going to build in all the metadata. So if you think of NFTs with Ethereum, you think of ERC 721 and 1155, which are those protocols and smart contracts for NFTs on Ethereum. Now, XRP Ledger will have its own, basically, protocol for NFTs to allow you to create them, issue them, and then actually trade them on the XRP Ledger DEX too. So this is a massive amendment, probably one of the biggest, because it adds actually into the actual underlying blockchain itself. So this, combined with hooks and combined with the sidechains, really creates an ecosystem. And as Ripple has been saying, tokenization. They keep preaching this tokenization thing, right? And that's coming. And also, as a decentralized identity layer 2 solution being built out too, that would be in the sidechains. So allowing the XRP Ledger to be compliant with KYC and AML regulations and having a built-in decentralized self-sovereign identity would be pretty powerful, because now you could use an underlying blockchain with smart contracts, NFTs, trading, You get all the best functionality out of the underlying blockchains and smart contracts, but they will be also regulatory compliant.
Nice. RBL, let's see if you want to hop in. I know we just went for a while, so.
Yeah, you're getting on a run, man. I'm fascinated. I'm riveted. I'm sitting here just kind of just sucking it all up. So let me take a couple seconds here for everybody just kind of drifting in, as we often get. People are joining us just midway. Thank you very much for joining us. Like and subscribe and share us out live. This is good stuff, guys. You're not just going to get this from anybody on the web. So I'm from FibiCharts.com. My name is Red Barron, and join us if you want to. If you want to join us over at our Discord, which is the unfairadvantage.chat. I'm the chart guy, so that's why I'm sitting here so silently. I got no dog in this fight. So so that's why we bring on guests that are much more knowledgeable than yours truly, and we hope to have an awful lot more of these type of people on the show. And, obviously this is the first time Mickey's been on the show. Patty's been with us. Patty's now a mod on the unfairadvantage.chat. We have him kind of popping in once in a while. So we're slowly but surely adding to our crew. So this is our first broadcast with Mickey, and I hope to have you back. And we were talking just before the show started. We had originally, some of you guys that are old schoolers from my group know that we were planning something in Las Vegas. And we were just chatting before the show. That's obviously not going to happen. We're going to be having a birthday party for me in Smyrna, Georgia, on October 30th. So that's going to be a meet and greet, get-together type thing, all-day party, and it's, I believe, on a Saturday, October 30th, in Smyrna, Georgia. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that, you can go ahead and join us at the unfairadvantage.chat. And we'd love to have you join us and be a part of what we're doing out there. But as far as a live get-together, these personalities, these YouTube people are starting to come together. We are tentatively putting together a get-together on New Year's Day, start of hopefully a much better year to come, where I'm talking to these gentlemen here and seeing if we can rope them into coming to be part of what's going on, along with some other stuff here. So I'll just shut up and get back out of the way here. So just to let you know, if you guys want to join us, again, we are from FibiCharts.com. You can join our main website or join our Discord at the unfairadvantage.chat. And I will duck out of the way and let these gentlemen continue. Carry on.
Nice. I'm always open to a trip to Vegas.
I know.
Well, you gotta have somewhere to waste all that crypto money.
Years, I want to go back to Vegas.
Yeah, you're gonna have to start playing blackjack with crypto.
Get some casino coins and use them there. Yeah, well, the next thing I wanted to touch on, though, so there's definitely, I'd say a narrative out there that, XRP is not for, your everyday person, and, I think that narrative is mainly born through the fact that Ripple really focuses on institutional clients, and obviously the XRP and the XRP Ledger has been, mentioned in many publications, as far as from big groups like the World Economic Forum or the BIS and stuff like that. So I think people, they work with banks and stuff like that, or payment institutions. But I would say that it's not entirely true that it's just for the banks. There are projects that are being built that are for community and normal people like us, I would say. And the Flare network, when that comes out, that'll be a huge part in facilitating that and more trading on the DEX, so that we don't, if you want to trade some of the assets there, like Spark, XRP, you could see Trustless Litecoin, Trustless Dogecoin, Bitcoin, like I was saying, in the future, and more to come. This is going to allow us to, get out from under the thumb of centralized exchanges and all the issues that come with that. I wish there was a little more liquidity on the XRP ledger. Generally, the spread between the Bitstamp IOU and XRP is the best one out there. I've definitely traded with it. Sometimes it gets a little larger spread just depending on what the movement is. But I think there's a lot of room for retail to grow within the XRP ledger. And Ripple even has their own part of their company called Ripple X that used to be called Xspring. And they were funding a lot of independent projects in the blockchain space. And Ripple X now is even, really focused on DeFi and things like that does bring in the retail investor. So while they have their payment solutions and stuff like that are really for, banks and money transmitters and things of that nature, there is an aspect to it that is going to be great, I think, for retail in the future. And so I didn't want that to be lost on anybody. And then additionally, one of the other things I wanted to mention earlier was Mickey was talking about on-demand liquidity. So they actually came out like 2 months ago or 1 month ago with a new model for ODL, which is going to be ODL 2.0. And originally, you would require 2 exchanges to kind of go through this, where you'd have one entity, maybe in the U.S., they exchange their fiat dollars for XRP on a U.S. exchange, send the XRP, let's say, to Japan, and then on a Japanese exchange, that XRP would be converted into I forget what the Japanese currency is called.
Yen.
Yes. So now what they're going to have is Ripple has one product called Line of Credit. They also are creating a Ripple wallet for institutional clients that they can directly plug into the XRP Ledger and cut out that first mile of these transactions to make them more efficient and less costly. So one of the things Ripple can do with this line of credit is they have, a rather large amount of XRP, excluding anything that's an escrow. They have their own holdings that they keep. I think it's like 7 billion. That was the last time I saw it. It's been a while since I checked. But they are able to, basically with their client set, they can directly send XRP to the end recipient without the client ever needing to get their hands on it, and they'll do it for a fee on top of the principal that they're sending, and they'll get paid back in like US dollar or whatever they're accepting for that. So that's something that I think is pretty powerful to get around some of this like jurisdictional stuff where maybe firms are not sure if they can directly transact XRP, but they can certainly pay another firm to complete a cross-border transfer for them. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I think it's a really cool thing that they started doing, and they've been doing a lot of these line of credit transactions in the face of like the SEC case.
No, that's a good point there, because that's the one thing in crypto that's very difficult to get credit. So Ripple, has this escrow and extra holdings, and it's looked at as a negative, like, oh, they're going to dump this all in the market. But really what it allows them to be is a credit facility for ODL. And that's something, like you said, that's pretty powerful because it allows you to bootstrap basically the utility and the use of the asset in ODL, because it doesn't cost them anything. It's the seigniorage of having that asset already. They don't have to pay for it. So they could just lend it out, and then they could be paid back in fiat for that. So that allows the flywheel to kind of spin for ODL and on-demand liquidity in different corridors. So they could set up each institution or payment provider with these Ripple wallets. And now there's not too much details on this, but they did say that they're going to be able to hold everything. When they say everything, they said everything from stable coins to XRP to Bitcoin to CBDCs. So that makes me think it's like a multi-party computation wallet. And we don't have to go into the technicals of that, but that means that it's basically able to hold all different types of assets, kind of the future of crypto wallets in general.
Yeah, it eliminates like the issues with the private key and losing that and storing it, because it kind of shards it out into different parts.
Yes, exactly. So they're going to be giving these wallets out. Basically, this is probably going to be part of like the PolySign standard custody. We don't know for sure, but most likely it will be part of that. Now, this allows XRP to get out there. So now you're bringing in crypto right to these payment providers and these institutions by getting them set up with just not ODL and payments. They're now linked into the whole crypto market. So once they want to start tokenizing different assets and securities and real estate, they're going to be able to do that from their same wallet. So what Ripple's trying pretty much doing here is like converging and bridging the two worlds together. You get them set up with this wallet, you get them using ODL and payments, and then once they want to get into more of crypto, trading, exchanges, prime brokerages, liquidity providing, they have that capability right there. So kind of Ripple's killing two birds with one stone here by getting them set up with that wallet for ODL, like Patty explained, in 2.0. So they could just shoot off then XRP into any corridor. So once they have it, if they need to make a payment to anywhere, they could send it from on the XRP Ledger to whatever exchange is in that corridor, and then it would just sell out to that fiat and off-ramp into that nation's domestic payment system. So it is dependent on the payment system in the domestic to pay out to the beneficiary. So some countries like the UK have a real-time gross settlement system where if the company is plugged into the real-time RTGS system, it'll pay out right to the beneficiary. We don't have that yet in the US here, unfortunately, which is pretty surprising that many countries around the world, like India has this, Australia has this, the UK has this, but we don't have this in the US yet.
Yeah,
I think that's
I've made the point. You've probably listened to the show. I've made the point as having traveled all over the world, we are grossly behind, as far as
I know, it's sad.
it's laughably behind.
It is, and they're going to have to build that into what they're doing with the digital dollar here and the U.S. stablecoin. It's not just that; they have to build that in with the instant settlement for domestic payments. Because if you send payments now, they don't settle right away, and in many other countries they do. It's kind of sad that we're staying within the same currency and they can't settle. And now Ripple's able to do this cross-border and settle instantly. So it goes to show how far behind, the U.S. kind of still is.
Yeah. And to take this into another direction as well, Mickey, I kind of wanted to talk about maybe some end games with XRP or XRP Ledger. What does that look like? And there's a tweet that Mickey really likes from David Schwartz, which he got interviewed again recently, and he specifically brought up this statement that he had, and it has to do with what is the best situation for liquidity globally and being able to transfer assets cross borders and stuff with really quick settlement and for cheap amounts. And his whole thing is these global pools of liquidity. So when I think about it, and I guess the way I explained it to my dad is we have all these assets in the traditional markets that are pretty illiquid with one another. So how you create a environment or an ecosystem where you're able to maybe take a stock and then trade that directly into gold. Well, that's something with auto bridging on the XRP ledger that can be accomplished using XRP. Because like Mickey said, you could have a gold to XRP order book, or it could be even to a decentralized stablecoin. It doesn't have to necessarily be XRP there. And you could basically bridge another order book with the same, or I guess in this case it would need to be XRP, but you could bridge another order book that's against XRP and basically create a synthetic order book together with those two separate ones. So for me, when we're in a world where you can easily move in and out of assets that you have of all types because they're tokenized, that's kind of what the future feels like to me. It's
bring that down to real world applications so our listeners can understand.
Let's say I own $5,000 in stock and I want to use it to buy some $1,500 TV, but I don't want to sell out of it and stuff. I'd rather just be all right, this is in my wallet and I can spend it. Well, you could basically take a stock and it would automatically get exchanged into some whatever fiat asset that party is receiving, and that can just all happen automatically. You think about how long that would take you today to do. That would take you a couple of days of lead time to figure that out. Having a world where we can just transfer all this liquidity really fast, speeding up the velocity of money, especially with the world economy not being in the best place. It's how do we unlock and create value out of these assets that already have them, but maybe are not as unlocked as much as they could be.
Okay.
Mickey, I'll let you.
Yeah, that's thinking, just to break your thing down even more, it's saying, okay, I have Tesla stock, and I want to pay for some of my groceries with that. I mean, that's just a real-world example. It would just happen frictionlessly. All this activity would happen behind the scenes, and you would just see it from your wallet. It would just take some of the Tesla stock, and then it would pay for your groceries. But all the magic would happen behind the scenes, and that's where, like Patty said, the end game is going to take a little while to get there. And we'll probably see when he says pools of liquidity. What does that really mean? If we break that down even more, you could add an automated market maker, and they've talked about this as a next thing to add once Hooks comes, as you could have these pools of liquidity where it's just two assets trading against each other. Now you have these DeFi liquidity pools matched with an order book in the center here. So that would really, I think, drive that liquidity around the ecosystem and all these side chains that are built out. You get a growing ecosystem. If you think of Ethereum now, there's hundreds of dApps going there. And this is happening on all different blockchains that you see going on. It's going to happen on the XRP Ledger too. And the one advantage the XRP Ledger has is that DEX in the center of it, and also that really fast, lean payments and settlement. So all that's going to happen really fast. So now they're looking to expand really outward. And it's taken a while to get the ledger, and there has never been a closed ledger, a failed ledger in 8 years. So the blockchain has run robustly as possible in the last 8 years. So it's pretty much institutional grade at the moment, and now they're ready to build outwards from here. And I think that's going to take a couple of years, but all these blockchains, I think, are going to continuously evolve. The only one that hasn't really been able to is Bitcoin because it's kind of stuck just the way it is.
Yeah.
Is it possible that it does evolve and we could see Lightning? Absolutely. It's just harder to move forward because it was the first, and the way the governance is designed. Sometimes you have, the miners and the developers at odds with each other due to just proof of work. So that is one issue. But you look at Ethereum. Ethereum's transitioning to 2.0, which is going to proof of stake. So as time goes on, we're going to continuously see, I think, an enhancement to all blockchains. XRP Ledger, Ethereum. And you look at Cardano now, they're just coming out with smart contracts. It's taken them how many years just to get to smart contracts? So it's a continuous evolution, I think, with all these technologies. And once we get AI and machine learning added into these, I think it's really going to even boost, the activity and the adoption of these blockchains.
Exponentially faster and faster and faster. Once AI plugs in, it's gonna go at a breakneck pace.
It is, and they're going to be like core infrastructures for the next financial system. And I think everything else will be kind of built on top of them. You'll see applications that could run on multiple blockchains. I don't think we're going to have the silos that we kind of have now. I think we'll see more and more interoperability between blockchains and that interoperability between traditional markets. And that's really the hardest right now. Since blockchains can't communicate with the outside world, you need oracles to bring in price data and different type of feeds like that. So I think oracles is going to play a big role. On Flare Network, they're called signal providers, but that's that middleware that kind of connects the two together. So that's going to be an interesting space to keep an eye on too.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's just about all the topics I had. We ran through a lot. I don't know, Mickey, was there anything else maybe you think we could touch on? Yeah.
We can touch on DeFi a little. I mean, I think DeFi is going to be a big part of our future moving forward. The XRP Ledger, is primed for DeFi. It just hasn't got there yet. Ethereum, obviously, is where DeFi has started at the heart. Still kind of the wild, wild west. I think it has to be brought into some regulatory compliance, especially with the travel rule. So I would look to the travel rule as kind of that hammer that's going to come down on a lot of projects. There's only so much they could do, but the ones that are going to want to come into compliance, I think are going to need self-sovereign decentralized identities and some type of KYC. That doesn't mean that every transaction you do is going to be broadcast your identity over the blockchain, but it does endpoints. So where you tap into an interface for a decentralized application, that's kind of where I think they'll get you with the KYC AML. And I think that's coming. It's not a bad thing, because what that will do is then institutions will be able to participate if they know everyone in that protocol is KYC'd AML, and they're not dealing with somebody from a sanctioned country that they're not able to do business with in the traditional markets. So I think that will bring in the institutional flood of money. And I also think tokenization, that convergence with DeFi is really going to be the next big boost to the whole ecosystem once we see capital markets coming. And that takes a little time. I don't think that's going to happen overnight. I think DeFi is going to continue to innovate because it can move so fast, because it doesn't have to go through all these regulatory hurdles, even though you got people like Gary Gensler, saying, hey, come in and register with us. I mean, which is kind of laughable. I mean, that you're telling developers to come in to register with them, with the SEC. So this whole DeFi ecosystem is still very young, but it's moving so fast. Like from a year ago, it's completely different than it is now. Mm-hmm. So what is it going to be in a year or 2 years from now? And how does that converge with tokenization and AI and machine learning, cloud computing, and, all those technologies? They're all kind of coming together. And as we could get the web more secure with Web 3.0, I think Web 3 is a big part of this technology too. And I know that the Web 3 Foundation is for Polkadot, Patty.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, tokenization is a really big deal. So, that whole kind of, end game, or, what I see us being able to do in the future, what does that look like? That requires tokenization and heavy tokenization of assets. And, there's a lot of firms that are looking to do that. There's institutions looking to do that. I mean, we briefly mentioned, PolySign and standard custody, and this is a firm, PolySign, that is created by Arthur Brito. We were talking about earlier. David Schwartz is is he CTO at PolySign as well, Mickey?
No, he's on the board of directors.
He's on the board of directors as well. Yeah, so they're building out a whole they're building out a whole institutional custody and trading platforms with investment banking partners and stuff like that. So that's kind of how they're tapping into the institutional side. And then as we see these DeFi projects come and the side chains built, that'll just add a flurry of activity, which, Mickey, what was the thing? There was some stat about GitHub and the XRP Ledger recently.
Oh, yeah. The XRP Ledger had the most activity on GitHub of all blockchains in, I believe, the past month, I think it was. That could be due to one of their grant programs they're doing for an open developer platform. So, but there was the most activity on GitHub, the most code, the most commits, the most pulls, requests on GitHub in the last month.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on.
Getting back to PolySign, I have a question on that. So again, one more time, that name popped up, and immediately I got kind of a gut feeling that was going to be just when it was a very vague website that rolled out, and it was kind of ominous when it first came out because nobody knew what it was. They just knew there was a lot of power players on it. So you're saying that this has something to do with institutional investors? My thought on this is it's there was a lot of conspiracies that they were going to be like the receivers to make everybody turn in their XRP to there and to those guys. Those guys would be in the foundation to be like the dumping point to get us all the little guys out of XRP and stuff like that. So as you see it right now, what is its function?
I see it more as a transactional. It's a private blockchain. So there's going to be a private blockchain. So what it's a settlement blockchain to allow institutions to be able to trade. Think of like OTC trading. They're able to go through standard custody's wallets and be able to trade from different exchanges.
Somebody like a Charles Schwab or like a T. Rowe Price or something like that.
Think of it like that. They provide the infrastructure and the wallets for basically like a family office or a hedge fund or some type of wealth management.
And there's the word I'm looking for, wealth management, because I immediately when I saw that, the first thing I thought is it's if you've listened to some of my past rants and broadcasts, it's long been my contention that we're not going to be allowed to hold this stuff in private wallets. It's going to have to be put within institutional wallets. What
they're doing, I think, is more of like a multi-party computation wallet. So it'll be kind of a combination of both. It's not that necessarily the institution's going to have full custody. But like what Patty said, the private key will be sharded amongst, maybe a set of validators on that network and yourself. And then you'll be able to connect into different CeFi platforms, different exchanges, different DeFi protocols. But, that issuer of that wallet can have permissions on the wallet too. So that they can put insurance on it. They can put other types of permissions, make it sure it's KYC, AML. So it leaves more flexibility here. I don't think we're going to have full we hand everything over to them and them do it. I think we'll see more of a hybrid because of the way that the technology is designed, that it's not going to be completely self-custody where you got to manage your own key if you're a wealth management institution and then you have clients. You would be the one who would then put the permissions on those wallets.
I'm thinking of exactly what the direction I'm coming with this is. I'm thinking, I always call him Joe Lunchbucket, but Joe Lunchbucket, he's got his Ledger Nano. He's keeping his XRP on his Ledger Nano. That I don't see that being the future.
I agree. It's not the future.
Bye-bye.
I don't even think it's the future for retail, honestly.
No.
I think another 1 to 3 years, and I've said this, recently, that I think that's going away.
Yeah.
I know we've thought we're going to hold our ledgers for 8 years
Not
and
happening.
cash out. I think there'll be other solutions because if we can remove the idea of a private key, having to store that, then we don't have to have a hardware wallet.
Well, knowing the way I know bankers, they are the ones that write the laws. So why would they allow us to hold on to this stuff? They will slowly but surely, and it is a very slow process, but they will manipulate the laws and they will push the narrative that institutional people have to take care of that because, you might be a terrorist or you might be, a drug dealer or something like that. So in the future, how I see it is I see, the idea of a Ledger Nano X or something like that, holding any major cryptos. I mean, there might be a few shit coins you can still trade on weird exchanges or whatever, but I think the real stuff like XRP and whatever is never going to be something that you're going to be able to just willy-nilly keep on your own ledger.
I don't know how they stop it, though.
That's the thing. They can't stop it, but what they can do is put laws around it.
There you go.
I mean, I don't think every country would go that route. So, I think there would still be jurisdictions around the world where you could do that. Now, the U.S. would be one of the countries that I could see having the harshest laws based on the reaction so far. But the thing is, how are they going to enforce that? Now, maybe if you have a ton of money, obviously you'll be kind of targeted because that's easy to see if you're moving that around, or more so easy to see than them caring about somebody that has 20K. Like, are they going to have somebody that sees, oh, this person pinged from this address and they're not using the official wallet? Like, I don't see them doing that, but like they can make it hard for the people with money, which ultimately could drive what happens. But I think like additionally is if they do that, I don't think it's something that just like kills DeFi or crypto.
Oh, no.
I think one thing this technology has shown is that it can adapt to any kind of environment that it needs to. And I mean, it's still way ahead of where the regulators even think it is at this point. So it will be interesting how they do that for sure. I mean, hopefully maybe we see different people get in with that stuff, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I think the travel rule is the first thing that's coming probably in like the very near future, and that's a global thing. So,
remind us what the travel rule is for everybody that's not up to speed. You got to remember, you got to talk down to us mere mortals.
Sorry. Yeah, so the travel rule means you have to have KYC AML. When you say you have on your Nano, right, and you're spending $10,000 worth of XRP back to Coinbase, at some point in the near future, Coinbase is going to say, where did that come from? Where's the identity of you that was your wallet? So at some point, we're probably going to have to attach some type of KYC AML digital identities to our wallets. Now, if you're just staying on the exchanges, that's fine, because you're already KYC'd AML. So as long as somebody could verify that is you in control of that self-custody wallet, and that was yours, and you're sending it to Coinbase, and it's not a terrorist from North Korea, then it's okay. But you're going to have to get to that point. So I think this is something near future, like Patty said, that could put a little hiccup and, a hurdle for DeFi. But it will kind of weed out the crappy projects, and it will raise the barrier of the better projects. Mm-hmm. And that will kind of bring in more institutional money. Now, after that travel rule, like what you said, Barron, we could see harsher regulations coming from, people like, Gary Gensler, SEC, and, they're trying to, and the Treasury Department with this infrastructure bill, they're trying to figure out how can we get control of this. And it's not easy for them either, to figure out how, when it's a global thing, and I could download a software wallet and then just send assets to it, and then how do they stop that? So that's kind of where we're at now. I think 2022 is going to be a very interesting year, though, Patty, with regulatory regulations and stuff around the world.
Indeed.
Absolutely. And I mean, to bring up kind of the KYC stuff, so there are projects that are solving this in a way that at least is more of a compromise between like maybe everything having to be KYC'd AML like on its face versus like, total pseudo anonymity that we have now. Like one of them is Panther Protocol, and I know like Zcash and Monero have been around and they're like their own blockchains, but this Panther Protocol is going to that's going to allow you to do selective KYC, so you can keep your account private and all that stuff to anybody that you aren't interacting with. So, like, let's say I had to go to Coinbase and they have a requirement from the U.S. government or, like, from the FATF for the travel rule, and they have to report that I sent 10K there. Well, I could selectively only show that it's my account to them without, like, revealing myself to the rest of the entire, like, ecosystem out there. So, like, there's stuff in the middle ground that's being worked on, I think, that could help with this. I don't see why you need to, like, necessarily be like, oh, this is Patrick Mullen's account and people can look that up. I don't think that's a future that anybody wants to live in. So, like, there's ways to keep these accounts private since, all the information on, a blockchain or the ledger, these ledgers are public, where you'll be able to selectively share, personal information with specific entities as needed. So I think that's something that'll help with this realm as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. I mean, there's definitely regulations coming in some ways. I don't know if they're going to be as harsh, as they could be, or they're going to be as loose. It's really time will tell, and we'll see.
I expect the worst. I expect the worst because my life goes so much more smooth when I expect the worst. That way I don't ever get blindsided by anything. And it's always
true. Or get any where you get kind of excited about something happening and then you get the rug.
Exactly. We're coming up on. I was on kind of on a personal level. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and God Almighty, I was thinking about how much my life has changed since that day, I woke up at 10 o'clock and I saw that first plane had hit and on television. And just think where your life has been in 20 years, and just think how 1/5 of that time has basically been the crypto movement. Just think where we're going to be, in a year, 2, 3, 4 years from now. It's amazing. So I want to get you guys' thought here, since we're kind of winding down the show. I want to get you guys' thought, both of you, and feel free to weigh in at large here. Where do you think we are in the next couple of weeks with the SEC lawsuit? What's your feelings on that?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'll let you.
I went back and forth on this myself. So, at first I thought, we're going to get a settlement, and now I'm kind of leaning more towards, I think that they're at odds with each other, because the SEC really wants Ripple to register with them, and Ripple does not want to register with the SEC. And it comes down to their escrow and the XRP that they're holding. They want to use for things like Ripple line of credit, where they can lend it out there. Now, the SEC, if they register with them, they're not going to probably be able to do those things. So I think that's one of the issues that's going on here. It's very hard to say and speculate, but I think we're going to go to summary judgment. I think if I had to say at this time, Patty might have a different opinion. I think we're in for like another couple months to where this thing goes, which isn't a bad thing.
Around about October, you think?
Yeah, I would think like October, November. I think by the end of the year, I would like to say that I think it's going to be closed out, but I don't know if it's going to be in the next few weeks. I would love it if it did. I think that would be great, because before Flare Network launches, I would love to see XRP get clarity. And if once this settlement or this summary judgment happens, it's possible that XRP gets full clarity, and it could be the first asset that actually gets full clarity in the whole space. So that's something exciting to look forward to. And if that does happen, then it's like, off to the moon here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's game on, and you see all institutions rush in and more stuff. If that happens, I think it's likely, but I think we got a couple more months to wait, personally.
So, yeah, I'll throw in there, I actually think that they will settle. I would imagine probably by the end of October, I think this thing should be wrapped. That's just me speculating, obviously, from following it. The reason I say that is because I think that the summary judgment on fair notice defense could be a huge blow to the SEC that they're ultimately not going to be willing to risk happening. So I think it's in their best interest to settle before it gets to that point.
What is fair notice, Patty?
Yeah, so fair notice is basically like, what is it that the market participants, like everybody in the market participants, like where Ripple participates, or like, that ecosystem, they're able to all like fully understand what the laws and regulations are so that they can comply. So the argument is that since the SEC was not sure on basically all this stuff for a really long time, if they are actually securities or not, that could leave Ripple of having done anything wrong, because how could they know that XRP was a security when nobody else in the market knew it, and neither did the SEC? So that's what it would rule on. And the thing with that is, it's like, let's say Ripple won and the judgment ruled in their favor on the fair notice defense. Well, now you have all these other crypto projects that went through ICOs and different things that to me seem more like, a security offering or an investment contract just for that specific sale of the asset. I don't believe any of these assets are security, or at least, the normal cryptos you think of are securities in and of themselves, like the way they're packaged can be securities. And, I won't even say that maybe some of the ways that Ripple packaged XRP sales could be a security, but the issue is the SEC came out and said that the asset XRP itself is inherently a security, which is that's just not the facts. I mean, we just went through and ran through all these things this entire episode about XRP and how you can use it and stuff, yet the SEC felt the need to say that XRP is a security, which was the issue. Now, like, XRP itself is a decentralized asset running on a permissionless protocol that's global and has been running for 8 to 9 years now.
And Ripple never sold to retail.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense. So like, if they lost that, now you have all these other projects that can bring the same defense, and it would make it much easier for them to beat the SEC or get a really favorable settlement in the future. And I think the SEC, especially Gensler, He's definitely a bureaucratic type, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And that means he's all for the establishment. So he's going to be out there, I think, trying to drop a bunch of lawsuits. Now, I don't know if they're going to keep going after cryptos as hard as they went against XRP, because, I mean, Jay Clayton is the one that brought that. And, you know, there's people like in the regulatory agencies and stuff I've seen say that, you know, when a prior administration drops a lawsuit, it's not good etiquette to, exit out of that lawsuit. You have to finish it up, which, I mean, I understand, because you could be like, oh, well, you know, the Biden administration is now protecting Ripple because, you know, the Trump administration charged them. So, you know, I could see that being a reason why he hasn't exited out. Now, you can debate whether you think that's right or wrong. I can understand that it's bad optics, but this whole case was dropped with bad optics. Even to the point now, there's an independent FOIA request out against Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman, who are two of the guys kind of that were a big part of the FCC during the Trump years. And Mickey, what was the can you share that part about where Jay Clayton got hired? Because I find this hilarious, and their connection to Ripple.
Oh, Jay Clayton just recently?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Jay Clayton just went on the board of directors at Fireblocks, which is an institutional custodian, and they're tight partners with BlockSets, who is part of BRD and is funded by Ripple and SBI. So that's kind of like a shake your head moment.
Yeah.
How that happened. So Jay Clayton also resigned early too, Patty. You know, he could have stayed on till Gensler, even though it wasn't administration change. He would have still probably been able to stay on as the, you know, chairman of the SEC until Gensler was nominated, which wasn't until like what, April or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so he left early. He resigned the day after dropping the lawsuit against Ripple. I mean, they were in negotiations and talking for 2 years. And this is why, you know, XRP stayed down, I think, for that period of time in, you know, 2019 and 2020. It really didn't go anywhere much with some of the other cryptos. And they basically under investigation with the SEC, and they're trying to negotiate, and then Clayton dropped that whole lawsuit there. But would have Gensler did that, Patty? I don't know. You know, it's hard to say.
That's what I'm curious.
He's at the helm right now, and there's been rumors that he's not willing to settle with some of these companies that they have enforcement actions with. When the prosecutors and the other SEC lawyers have made handshake deals with them, they take them back to Gensler, and he says no. So he is a bureaucrat. I totally agree. He went to just MIT to just make it look like he's an academic, but he's really not, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And, you know, at first we thought that, hey, he's from MIT, he was taught blockchain, taught crypto, oh, he knows this stuff. But he's definitely all about trying to be the cop on the beat. And I think the CFTC should really be, they're more, they're more prepared and they're better equipped with their innovation hub to handle crypto than the SEC is. You know, the SEC is just trying to bring everything under that Howey test and get everyone to register, where the CFTC is a little more open to innovation, and they have an actual fintech lab. They bring in people from the private sector. The SEC really hasn't did that yet. So it's going to be up to Congress. That's who really should make this decision. And Congress just has sat on their ass and hasn't done anything. And when they do things like the infrastructure bill, you know, and they try to squeeze it in there. So we're kind of hurting ourselves here in the U.S., which is kind of sad. When the internet, we led the way, and now we're kind of, you know, at the back of the pack. Granted, we can catch up pretty quick if, you know, we do get a framework out there and the regulations are sensible. You know, people like Tom Emmer, Darren Soto, Warren Davison, part of the blockchain caucus, I think are great for crypto. And the fact that we have that support in Congress is good to see, because 3-4 years ago, that was unheard of. So at least they're talking about this now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately with this case, however long it does take, I mean, you know, forbid that it goes into next year. If it does, at this point, it seems really unlikely that XRP is going to be declared a security at the end of the case. To me, just all the facts that have come out so far and how the judge has taken it, as well as like all the other, you know, thought leaders and former regulatory leaders that have spoken out about how they don't necessarily believe XRP is a security. Yeah, I just think that eventually it'll be in, you know, in a place where XRP has clarity. It's just how long does that take?
And the fair notice she has allowed so far, it's up for the judge to strike the fair notice defense right now.
Yeah.
So she's already allowed it to go up till now, and it comes down to a decision. So these are a few decisions, Barron, that are going to be coming in the next few weeks to look for.
Right.
There's decisions on the communications that the SEC has to release, their internal communications, and their external communications with third parties. They're putting them all under I forgot what the word was, a privilege log, where they don't want to show the actual communications. So Ripple has brought that to the court. So now the discovery judge has to make a decision if they have to actually, release that information from the privilege log or not. And then there's also the Slack communications for Ripple, that do they have to release more of those to the SEC? And that's the decision that has to be made, more on Ripple's marketing team and Slack communicating internally. And then there's the decision on the fair notice that has to be made, is the third one. What's the fourth one, Patty? There's another one.
I don't know. There's a couple small ones that
there's a couple other small ones. Things. But there's a couple decisions that are coming in these next few weeks that kind of could give us a better idea if we're going to get a settlement. Like, for example, that fair notice. If she says, I'm not striking that, and I'm allowing the fair notice, that's a great sign that, pretty much Ripple is going to win at summary judgment.
Oh, absolutely.
On all the charges.
Absolutely.
You know what the fourth one is? It's the dismissal of Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson.
That's a big one. That's a big one. Yeah.
That's a big one. So that could be dismissed. So the SEC has to prove that Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson believed XRP was a digital security and still recklessly sold it on the market. So that burden of proof is extremely high. And it's already been noted in video interviews with Jay Clayton, one of the former commissioners, Grunfest, said to him in an interview in 2018 that it's very difficult to go after individuals because there's no fraud allegations here. This is just a securities violation. So to go after them personally was kind of like throwing the kitchen sink. And then, like what Patty said, trying to claim that the XRP out there that we hold in our wallets and can use freely and we didn't buy from Ripple is a digital security, are going to be extremely difficult for the SEC to prove. The third charge is probably the SEC's best, is saying that Ripple packaged their sales as investment contracts in the past.
Which ultimately won't hurt, I don't think would hurt the XRP, the
asset.
If the market overreacted to that, that's one thing, but in the long term, it's not anything that keeps XRP from being used. Also, one thing I forgot, Mickey, we still have the XRP holders motion to intervene pending.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. From John Deaton. So that's one where John Deaton, an attorney, he's very popular on Twitter now. Yeah, so 20,000 XRP holders, including myself, signed it, and he would be able to represent our interests. Mickey as well, yeah. He would be able to represent.
Get me in on that, man, because I'm in the 1% myself, so I'll step
up. I'll have to send you a link if you still can. I don't know if you still can, but I'll send you a link if I can find it.
I'll probably be yelling the loudest. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to intervene. The XRP holders in the case is a third party.
Exactly. Because there's people. There's a guy, James Rule XRP, that John Deaton's brought up in the community, that he basically purchases everything with XRP. He just keeps all his, he
gets paid
assets in XRP. He gets paid in it, and he uses it to buy coffee and all that stuff, and that's his bank account. So, I don't know how XRP can be a bank account as a security and be able to use it in that way. But, yeah.
Well, we're looking for big things here this weekend. I've got sharding, and a lot of it has to do with we get into the weekends, and it's always the speculation. We got the holidays coming up here pretty soon, so we're looking for some big things on the short term, whether it'll hold ground or not. This is really my forte, not you guys.
Yeah.
It's charting. I have people have been really just asking, what are we going to see? What are we going to see? I'm still expecting a little bit of a fakery up to all-time high around $3, $3.50. Wouldn't be surprised to see it go up to $4 on speculation. But after that, I'm expecting we'll probably get, and I want to use the term crash, but a downturn. So whatever we see in the short term is not going to hold ground, I don't think. But that remains to be seen. But I am telling everybody, though, that when we do get down to the point where this thing flash crashes down to where I'm expecting down in the 22 to 25 range, I think it's going to happen so fast that I don't think anyone who's holding out to make that purchase is going to be able to do it. Because
Question, yeah. So, like, do you basically think that it'll be kind of a capitulation event, and it'll be just like one of those extremely long wicks like we used to see in the?
Oh, we used to get 30% all the time. No, I actually invented the ISIS system based on trying to decode that. So yeah, that's this. It's so funny how everything's kind of come full circle. So when I invented the AI bots, I was searching for a way to be able to decode XRP because we were getting those so regularly, every 10 to 15 days. It's boom, boom, boom. Dropping 20 and 30%. And then all of a sudden, just about the time I really got it all dialed in, it just stopped. But yeah, so it does have a history of doing that. So I would not be surprised at all, just pulling numbers from there, to probably see a sag after the feel good goes way down to maybe about 55, 60 cents. And just a couple of real flash wicks down into the 22 to 25 cents to hit the floor, back up, and then off to the races we go authentically, never to return again. That's about the way I see it playing out. So, I've been buying all this week. I mean, I never thought I'd pay the prices I'm paying right now, but I'm going to get as much in the bag as I possibly can because I'm not going to hold out for 22 to 25 cents like I was earlier because I'm just and I've made the case several times on past broadcasts. I mean, we just look at how this week has been. Have you guys had internet problems? Access problems?
Mine's been all right.
I did yesterday.
Oh, yeah. No, my bandwidth was bad for our live stream, yeah.
So we hear all the rumors about internet outages and stuff like that, but it's just, and I've lost the last live stream I was doing and dropped right in the middle of what I was doing. So it's sporadic, but I could tell these guys, if you're expecting to be able to hit the door, when have you ever seen markets run that you've been able to just saunter in and buy what you want to buy? There's always problems with the crypto exchanges. They go down. Then you got phones and you got internet and you just got infrastructure. There's just too many things against you. So and I use this word loosely. I'm advising or I'm suggesting that if that idea terrifies you of missing the boat, you better grab at least an oar and get something, because I don't like anyone's odds to be able to get it 22 to 25 cents. And it might go a little bit lower, but I'm not feeling it on a personal level. Anything below 50 cents, you're a lucky bastard, because I don't think it's going to happen for Joe Blow. I really don't.
Yeah, that's what I've over the last 4 years being in crypto, it's that's happened so many times where exchanges crash. It's pretty much expected.
Oh yeah.
At this point for me, the only time it didn't happen and I was able to buy the end of a wick was actually after the SEC case was dropped. XRP went down to 17.5 cents over the course of a couple of days, and when it hit or 17 cents, I think, when it hit that bottom point, I was able to buy down there, but that was the first time. But that's because the rest of the crypto market wasn't crashing; it was just XRP.
Yeah, and
it's
I think
when you compound all these cryptos together, it's just whatever it is, they don't have the liquidity or whatever reason they have for shutting down these exchanges. I don't believe that they just go offline. I imagine there's probably something going on there that causes that, but it's just so rare to be able to get in on that.
Yeah. I think that there will be a point at which XRP decouples from the rest of the market and starts doing its own thing. But I think whenever we do get the hard pullback, the whole rest of the market's going to go down too at the same time. But once it rises up, I think it'll rise up faster and more violently than everything else does. I've long held that.
If that decoupling would happen, roughly, an idea.
When do I think that'll happen?
Case finalization.
Yeah, that's exactly around about October.
Yeah? Okay.
Around about October.
Interesting. That's great to hear.
Yeah. So I've got ISIS and ISIS is our short term, but Anubis, which is my long range statistical forecast, has got it nailed, pegged exactly October 15th, exactly. And so far it's doing pretty good. It's gathering data, hasn't missed too many swings at the fence. So if that's about all we got to talk about today, guys, let's wrap her up and let everybody get on with this nice day. I appreciate you joining us. So with us today was Patty XRP and Mickey B. Fresh. Hope to have you gentlemen back on to do this again real soon. Until then, I'm Red Barron.
Thank you so much.
No problem. I'm Red Barron from FibiCharts.com and from the UnfairAdvantage.chat. Until next time, be safe, be good, and be good at it. Peace and hair grease, baby.